Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to welcome to the stage the writer and director Billy O'Brien and writer Chris Hyde.
It's like the Oscars, it's a long way down there.
Brilliant. So great to have you here, so great to show the film here.
It's great to be here.
One of the things I loved about seeing the film when I saw it earlier in the year was the fact that I went into it sort of knowing nothing beyond, pretty much beyond the title and the fact that you'd made it.
Yeah.
And there's a couple of kind of what the fuck kind of moments in it that really surprised me, which I think really work, you know, and are fantastic. And obviously there's a bit on the ice where you first see the kill, and then there's the ending, the monster at the ending. How hard is it to kind of pitch something like that, where those kind of reveals are you know, are kind of implicitly, because you know, in terms of talking about the film, I've been telling people the film's great without wanting to kind of give too much away. So is it a difficult one to pitch a story like that?
But it's great now we're this kind of genre blurring film that, you know, it's very interesting to people, but it took 6 years to persuade financiers that we weren't all mad and that it was a no-hope film, and yeah, so not easy at all. They like things in a little box, financiers, because it's really tough for the industry right now, I suppose, maybe it always has been, and like I guess a Blumhouse style straight horror is bankable. Something like this, we were told frequently, is not bankable, so yeah, it wasn't a lot of fun.
But it's something that I think you know, I think works for an audience is the fact that it does kind of blend these genres. So you've got horror and you've got sci-fi and you've got a sort of youth kind of drama. I mean, was that one of the things that sort of attracted you both to it in the
That's
first
definitely what attracted me to it. And although I wasn't going to have the problem of selling the film, I wasn't worried because I knew this was the kind of film that I want to see more of. You know, it's a film that does blend genres and is horror and is comedy and it's the kind of film I've been looking to see myself. So when it came along, Billy wanted me to co-write with him. I was like, yeah, this is great, and we'll worry about selling it once we've written it amazing.
Yeah, because you read the book, and if you like a book, you think, you know, particularly if you like a book that you think will make a good film, then you're thinking, well, I can't be alone in this, it's been published, it's a book, and it's great. You know, it's there in front of you, surely everybody else will feel the same way, but it doesn't always happen like that. Plus, you know, for practical things, for finances, you look at our 2 stars there, and you've a 17-year-old kid and a 75-year-old man, even though he's a legend, it's not like you've got Ryan Gosling or, you know, Jennifer Lawrence or somebody, you know, it's that's what they said to us. It's like you've got an old man and a boy who's going to go and see this, you know. So it was always tricky. Yeah.
So how in terms of the writing, because you co-wrote together, was it a case of like being in the same room, or one of you typing, one of you pacing, or was it sort of?
There was a lot of bruises. I remember that. It was quite painful.
Yeah, you hurt me. Well, first of all, if you're confused about co-writer and director relationship, you should know that this is how it works. If you enjoyed the film, Billy will be happy to receive your compliments. If you didn't enjoy the film, Billy will be happy to direct you to me.
Yeah, it's great, actually, I love it.
But the co-writing was a lot. My overriding memories of it is it was just a lot of fun. It was very hard, a lot of challenges to adapt the book, and we created a lot of stuff for the film, like the entire funeral scene at the end isn't in the book. And we had a lot of fun coming up with the banter between that exact scene there where you attack my wife, you murder my therapist.
We called our surgery only moment. Kind of.
Yeah,
It
it was really good fun.
The main thing was, like, I live in Devon on Dartmoor, and Chris from Barra, you're living in London now, but you were in Barra at the time, and I think it was your 9-hour journeys getting down, because we tried on Skype, but we were getting too passionate for Skype to cope with, so I think it was better you used to come down to me. I never went up to you, actually, I just realised that now. I never did long journeys. You'd come to me.
Yeah, spent a lot of time in your office in Chagford. And it reminds me, someone asked me the other day, we did a lot of research about real serial killers, and we didn't do that much because what's in the book is kind of all you need to know. But I remember one dark day in Devon when we did just naturally start reading about serial killers. Yeah, and you were on your iPad and I was reading like Reader's Digest best top 100 serial killers. And we both went very quiet, and about an hour went by, and he was reading about Richard Ramirez, and I was reading about John Wayne Gacy. And I just noticed we'd gone really quiet and dark, and so I put my book away, and I waited for Billy to finish, and he turned off his iPad and put it aside and stroked his beard and stared into space and went, Jesus Christ. Although serial killers are a really mainstream thing that people love and love seeing stuff about, you don't want to read too much of that stuff. It's pretty...
They're horrible bastards, aren't they?
Yeah, absolutely. And Dan Wells has a passion for it, and after that we just realized, Jesus, the book has it all, we don't need to do any more of that. Because what would happen is it'd be incredibly grim, the film, there wouldn't be any humour in it at all, because it's real, you know. and unpleasant and gives you nightmares. So yeah.
I know one of the challenges with the book was that in the book it's all first person, and so there's a lot of the stuff is sort of internalised. It's internalised voice. So how do you externalise that? How do you make that work on screen?
We had a lot of drafts with voiceover in, didn't we? At the beginning, at least. We felt because the book is so in John's head, we had to try it at least.
Yeah.
But we quickly, well, not so quickly, but we got to a point where we didn't need it. And
I remember we even one day we talked about Ferris Bueller and the way he breaks the fourth wall. And we think, could that be a solution?
We came up with some really quite surreal stuff, like
Yeah.
fantasy sequences and stuff like that. But it didn't quite fit in the end, I don't think. But it was much more interesting to not know what John was thinking, because you didn't know how dangerous he really was. If he was telling you what he was feeling and what he was going to do next, it kind of killed some of the mystery.
It works in other films, but in our case, it just felt like he was a teenager, and you'd begin to think, actually, this is all just something he's going through. When we stripped it off, there's just a sort of we were both quite excited because it just seemed dangerous. It seemed like shit. You don't know what he's going to do in every scene now, and that was quite a breakthrough.
I think you've got a great cast in the film, and like you said, you've got a film where your two leads are like a 17-year-old boy and 75-year-old man. But I wonder, with between those two poles as well, there's difference in kind of acting styles. Obviously, Christopher Lloyd is like been around forever, and then kind of and then you've got the younger actors. And I really like the looseness of the performances around the younger actors. How do you approach working with actors, and how is it different working across that kind of range of actors?
I'm kind of instinctive. I don't intellectualize it too much, and I just see what I have in front of me and where I get. So in their case, it was interesting. We'd met Max when he was 13 and done a test with him, thinking we'd have the funding in a year or two. He'd be about 15. Turned out he was 17. So the benefit of that was that he was almost grown up when we met him, and so he was dealing with this a lot different. And in a way, the stamina needed just to do that intense performance, I don't know if it would have worked when he was younger. So then with Christopher Lloyd, when they met, I was like, we were in this hotel in this tiny town, Virginia, up near the Canadian border. Remember the wind howling around because we were up on the top floor. And I was like, how are these two going to get on? Chris Lloyd's a little bit deaf, and Max is only 17. And Max was sitting on the floor with his acoustic guitar because he loves music and plays music a lot. And Chris was kind of looking at him over the script, a bit like, what's this kind of kid going to do? And then they started talking, and within an hour, it wasn't like I was in the room. They were just discussing it like two actors do. And, I remember just Max going, hey Chris, why don't we try it like this? And Chris was like, that's a great idea, let's do that. And they just hit it off. And so, as a director then, brilliant, because my job is done, and the vibe they have is just so good, so that was, thank God, basically. So I've had it the other way too, and it's not pleasant. Actually, I'll tell you about that one. I did a film 10 years ago called Isolation, and I had some wonderful actors in that as well, but I had a Romanian actor called Marcel Uris. He does a lot of Hollywood films. He did The Peacemaker with and I had the amazing Sean Harris, and Sean Harris is like 400% method. And so what he would do is he wouldn't go on set until we were ready to go action, no rehearsals, just come in, do 3 takes and he's done. Marcel likes to do 40 rehearsals and 10 takes because his English isn't great, he likes to learn to. So by day 3 they were trying to kill each other, or particularly Sean was trying to kill him, so that was like an ordeal. That was my first film as well, it was like an ordeal. So these guys were just fantastic, it was great.
Oh, yeah, and I wanted to ask you about the monster at the end, and how much that was on the page in the book or on the page in the script, and how how did that develop? How did that process develop?
The book is quite different, isn't it? At the end,
because there's not the funeral. I mean, there's the monster and everything.
He's in monstrous form when Max is beating up his wife in the bedroom, and then he comes home, and then he chases him over the street to the mortuary, and the finale kind of unfolds quickly.
We call it the Terminator ending in the book. It's like the half-dead monster dragging himself across the street, and then...
Was it described in the book? Was it described in that?
Well, we met Dan Wells. He came to London. Remember, I took him on the Jack the Ripper tour because I was like, he's from Utah. I'm like, well, what can I do with him? And he loved that. That was great. But then we asked him all these questions. There's a list of questions about the book, and he just gave this little Mona Lisa smile about the monster, and he kind of showed me. I was, well, I don't know. There was other bits, like there was a bit with the cops where they shot him 8 times in the book, and the next one of the bullets hits Crowley's arm. So the next page he takes the arm from the cop and replaces the bullet hole. But we were like, well, what happened to the other 6 bullets in his chest? And he goes, I didn't write that. Did I write that? Yeah, you did. The 6 bullets. So so authors like novelists can get away with murder. So yeah, the monsters. I remember there was like big yellow teeth and stuff and claws, long claws. So it was quite more like a horned demon. I think, as you kind of felt like that. And we wanted to keep. Just to make it more original than that. So yeah, so we went this whole puppet route in the end, and I mean, that's a 3-hour story, really. That, but yeah, I mean, the monster is always fundamental to it because you could do it with just, is it in John's imagination or not? And I just felt, to hell with it. We just got to follow through what the book came up with. That this is, something bizarre, ancient that's living inside him, like some sort of parasite that moves from victim to victim. And I just love the whole idea of let's just go for the big. I was going to say the balls on reveal, and actually watching it just at the back there, the monster really doesn't have a big pair of balls. I've forgotten that. It's kind of like, it's not a PG film with that in it anyway.
Was it planned for that to be a practical effect? Was that a fight that you had to have that as a practical effect?
Oh God, on our budget, no. I mean, if we're lucky to have anything at all, really. No, my rationale was just that I know puppets. I worked them a lot before, and if you can see it and feel it, then you've some chance. But on our tiny budget, if it was CGI, it could just be a total disaster. And there's also a thing, puppets are kind of analog. We're shooting on 16mm, it's all analog, it's sort of fitted that. And I think if nothing else, maybe we get a sympathy vote because it's a puppet, whereas if it's CGI, we don't. You can fill out forms and leave them at the back.
You mentioned about shooting on 16mm was, I understand that was always the kind of idea.
Yeah.
What was the rationale behind that? What do you think that gives the film?
Well, look at me, I've always shot film. Everything's changed. Well, when we began, it wasn't that big a deal, 2009. And then, take the labs in America, because we did the tests, I was saying, with Max when he was 13. That was in Michigan. There was a lab in Michigan, so it was easy to process it. We shot the test in 35mm. And then, year by year, month by month, all the labs started closing. And in the end, we processed in LA, and we were in Minnesota, so it was a hell of a thing. So it got harder and harder. And every time finance class, we had a new financer, we'd go, here we go again. And we'd be like, and we're shooting on 16mm. And Lily would go, why the fuck do you want to do that? So we've always wanted to do it. And also we grew up in Ireland on American films where you hear, sort of Americana, and the paint-peeling feel of these towns in the Midwest just sort of screamed film. And as a director, for character in something, when you shoot on film, you're kind of 10% ahead already because you've got an immediate character to it. If you're doing something very, present day and modern, then digital works brilliantly. But for this particular film, this particular story, it was always, Robbie, the cameraman, Nick, his cousin, who produced it. The three of us were set on making film for that lens.
Brilliant. Well, I'd like to open up to the audience if there are any questions from anyone out there. I think I'm just at the back there, I can see. Yeah,
Hi guys, I'd just like to say, great movie, great adaptation of a great book, and are we likely to see Mr. Monster at a future Mayhem festival weekend?
Do you know, we toyed with using that name, and I still wonder, Mr. Monster's the sequel, there's, I think he's got 6 books now, or the last one's coming out, and I did toy with it because since the film's got I'm Not a Serial Killer screams serial killers, and clearly it's about a lot more things than that. The simple answer is right now, no, unfortunately, because it's a small film. You know how it works. I mean, if this had been a huge success and I'd killed off every single person in the film, they'd find a way to do the sequel. And the irony with this case is that the second book picks up a month after the end of the film, so it's like a natural progression through, and John's problems are stronger now. And, I'll give you a little teaser in case the filmmaker's made. A second monster arrives in town to find out what happened to Mr. Crowley, why he's not answering his phone, basically. So, the story continues. So I'd love to, but I'm not spending another 6 years trying to make that.
But potentially, if everyone here goes out and watches the film again when it comes out, and maybe buys it and tells all their friends about it.
Can we hire you as PR? Because you're doing
that's a big success, then
yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. It doesn't rule anything out.
It was funny because there was only ever really 3 books. It was a trilogy, and then Dan Wells, the author, found out we were making this one into a film, and then he wrote 3 more. So
no pressure then.
Yeah. Somebody's doing quite well out of the film.
I think I'm right in saying it's a serious film laced with humour rather than a comedy film with some serious undertones. And assuming that, I guess that means the balance to find between how much comedy is okay to have without killing it is quite hard. So one, how do you go about kind of setting that dial? And 2, I guess it's easier to cut stuff out than add stuff in. So does that mean you have like a massive, hilarious reel of outtakes to work with?
No, actually, we did the DVD extras a few weeks ago. Not really, because remember it's from a book, so we tried to keep the balance pretty much identical to the book. And the second thing would be that when I read the book, I really laughed at the funny parts, and that mix seems to just grab my instinct and my, that's what I like to make in it. So there wasn't, for me it wasn't an issue. I've been quite interested in reading the reviews, and that, you know, by and large people kind of get it, but there's always a few who really go, what the fuck's the humour here? I remember Bloody Disgusting, we premiered in South by Southwest, and their review the following day, you can almost see him scratching his head going, there's humour? Why is there humour? This is meant to be a horror film, you know, so it's like, the Coen brothers, or anything, you know, they seem to have just a knack of doing this, and like I've always loved them. People like Terry Gilliam, you know, I like this mix, and it's not to everybody's taste, but it just seems to work for me. In the edit, we had a wonderful editor, Nick Emerson, and it was quite interesting on what you're talking about, the balance of it as we went along, and he's cutting, and you'd find that, say, you'd make one part slightly more serious, and then the next laugh bit completely dies. So you have to be very careful as you go through it that way. But there isn't a huge amount that, like, you know, your first statement, you said it's more of a serious film with humour rather than the other. I never even really thought of it in those terms, because again, we already knew the tone from the book, so it wasn't we were setting out to do something that way.
Cool. Anybody else? Yeah, one down from here.
Hi guys.
Getting nervous there.
Thank you so much for coming over. That was an amazing film.
Thank you very much. Really appreciate it.
Just want to ask a scene-specific question. The scene when John's with his therapist in the office, looking out onto the woman crossing the road.
Yeah, yeah.
On the table or on the side, there's a photograph of the Lincoln Imp.
Of which?
The Lincoln Imp. We were just wondering, my friend and I, because we're actually from Lincoln. We've come over from Lincoln, and the photograph of, it's like a little devil thing with his leg crossed over.
Oh, really?
Like a gargoyle.
Oh, okay. It's.
We were wondering if that was
I didn't make it.
we were wondering if that was a conscious decision to put that in, or did you just?
No, I actually had no idea what you were talking about, to be honest.
Well, in Lincoln there's a big Gothic cathedral, and
Like a gargoyle thing, is it?
Yeah.
And is there one in the office in the film?
there's a photograph of it in the frame.
Because art department-wise, with Neville, like he's meant to be a bird watcher, and watching the film, and he's obsessed with birds, because there's so many pictures of birds that were really laid down with a trowel. But no, I'm going to have to look the next time now.
Yeah, it was just really strange to see it, being from Lincoln, and it's like Lincoln's. It's on the crest of Lincoln's football team. And
Okay.
Thanks for including it anyway. And giving Lincoln a shout out.
Just for we got big sponsorship actually. That's
Thank you.
Okay, next, in the centre there.
Hello.
Hiya.
I noticed a lot of very anachronistic elements in the film. It seemed very much like it was set in the 80s at some points, with the kids' costumes during Halloween and things like that, and then suddenly there's like an iPhone or a tablet. And I want to know where that decision came from, whether that came from the book or the...
No, I mean, there wasn't really a decision. Like, once you shoot on 16mm, it has... Once you shoot on 16mm, you've got that kind of town. Because the town, it's a mining town, so it feels incredibly 70s anyway, and we love 70s films. So there was that, like, oh, this looks great. That was our kind of thought of it. I mean, when we did the title to the film, yes, we wanted to go with an old school kind of optical type feel to it. The clothes, quite a bit were Max's own, and he's in Portland, and they all like have bands on SoundCloud that reference Fugazi and Slint and all those 90s bands. So that was coming from his side. The BMX, the Mongoose, is because, well, I'm in Nottingham actually. I hated rallies growing up, and I always wanted American BMX, and Mongoose and Redline were my pinnacle, and so to get one to put in a film was really cool. And then, we finished the film, and last summer, or just gone, Stranger Things comes out, which I haven't seen yet, but is clearly so inspired by that. And in fact, one of the actresses we didn't mind for Max's mum over the years was, Winona, yeah, in it. So, so it's quite fun all that. But there wasn't ever a conscious decision to do that. I guess just all of us involved had our memories and had grown up with that, and yeah, that was it really.
Cool. Any more? Any other questions? Yeah, there's one. Oh, sorry.
Terrific film. My favorite festival so far. And it's great to see the Midwest as well on screen like that. As you can guess from my accent, I'm from that area.
Yeah.
So I was wondering, how did you choose Hibbings was the town?
No, it was Virginia. The mortuary was in Hibbing. Yeah, it was just down the road from it. God, because it was 6 years financing it. we scouted Michigan, Ohio, Minnesota, and up in Canada and Manitoba as well, in various different financial ways. We knew we wanted to be Midwest, and we were quite happy we ended up in Minnesota, just that particular finance deal, because it's the home of the Coen brothers and it just felt the right setting. Plus, it's interesting with the book, he published it in the UK first with Headline, and it's set it clearly in North Dakota, and when Tor did it in America, they took that out and just left it Midwest. But I think we could hire ourselves out now as Midwest experts, because me, Robbie and Nick would get a van in each place and just drive all around and try and find the perfect town to match Clayton, the town in the book. So in Minnesota, it was that it's actually quite a very rich state, and so all the towns in the prairie were really beautiful and well painted. But the Iron Ranges near Canada is in a depression because the iron mining has gone down and everybody's been laid off. So that's had that real 70s feel we were looking for. We took advantage of their pain basically to make the film there.
Okay, just have one more quick question, if we can. Yeah, just down front here.
Yeah, how did you get Christopher Lloyd involved in the film?
Chris slept with him. Next question.
The Christopher connection.
We lucked out, as Jan answered. Robbie Ryan, my cameraman, is with Gersh in New York, an agency, and turned out Chris Lloyd's with them. He told them, yet again, our finance collapsed. They said, oh, give us the script and have a look. And then they came out and said, you've got this role in it, what about Chris Lloyd? And we had thought of him, but we were getting fed up getting rejections from all the agents. So basically, they said, well, let us give it to him. And then he rang me a couple of weeks later, and we talked for an hour, and he just loved the character Crowley. He doesn't get offered stuff like that, he was saying, and you know, it's kind of got that whole gothic resonance that he loved and the kind of duality of it. So after the phone call, he was on board, and it seemed stupidly easy at that stage, but there was years before we couldn't even get past the door, you know. It's cool.
Brilliant. Well, that's great. We have to wrap it up there. So thanks very much. Hope you enjoyed the film. And
Thank you.